Hey y'all, welcome back to Heal Yet Podcast. I'm so excited to be back and to be here doing my very first episode of Heartbreak Diaries. So, this topic really came from experience, the bunch of feedback from my last season about things people wanted to talk about, and just because God put it on my heart to speak about. I truly believe that God doesn't put any of us through anything for nothing. God definitely wants us to be able to give our testimony to others and also just be a source of healing for someone else. I truly believe that I created this because this is something that I needed when I was going through a tough time, and things that I see my friends and family members experience that they can use or they could have used in their time of distress and heartbreak. So let's get to it. So this season episode is called The Anatomy of Heartbreak. I want to really talk about what heartbreak is, what it feels like physically, mentally, what are the different kinds of heartbreak, because when people hear heartbreak, they truly believe that I'm just talking about an intimate relationship, when it could definitely be platonic. It can be grief. It could be losing a job, losing a friendship, having to start your life completely back over, financial grief where you lose everything and have to start over. And some people are not at the point where they can see what's next. I think after heartbreak, everybody's question is like, what's next? How long do I have to feel this? How long am I going to experience all of these symptoms that I'm feeling right now? When does it end? I mean, I know that was my questions. Shoot, you're transparent here. But let's get into what Google says is the definition of heartbreak. So it says it's an intense emotional stress or pain one feels after experiencing great loss or deep longing or overwhelming distress. I think that kind of sums it up. But it doesn't give that feeling. I mean, yeah, we can read that, but the feeling of heartbreak is much more intense than that sentence. So that's what I want to really dive into this season. Let's go into talking about what heartbreak feels like physically. And I remember when I was first talking about this episode, I was like, heartbreak should definitely be a medical diagnosis. It needs to be a diagnosis, whether it's a medical diagnosis or it's a mental health diagnosis, because you experience some stuff. And I'm talking about some real physical feelings, some mental feelings. And when we talk about physical feelings, I'm talking about heart palpitations, low or high blood pressure, high stress, shortness of breath, weight gain, weight loss, headaches, loss of appetite, nausea, insomnia. Let's not leave out the digestive issues, heartburn, the feelings of bloating. It's just so much that can come from heartbreak that a lot of people couldn't put together. But heartbreak can do some things to the body. And it's truly because of the stress, the mental health symptoms of it, that can lead to the physical symptoms of it. So let's talk about the mental symptoms of heartbreak. And that's that depression, that's the stress, that's the lack of need for sleep, the anxiety, the panic that comes from heartbreak, the lack of motivation, the decrease in your dopamine, which is your happy hormones, the lowered self-esteem, lack of confidence, just imposter syndrome, not being able to show up as yourself, low self-esteem. If I didn't say that, I think I said that. Building a poor immune system, which leads back to that physical, because we know high stress and depression and things like that can lower your ability to heal when you're sick, can keep you constantly getting colds or different type of health issues. So this is why healing is important, because if you are experiencing these symptoms for a long period of time, it can lead to more severe health issues and mental health issues. So tackling the problem early on would help you to be able to kind of tackle the symptoms from this, to lessen the feelings that you have. And it's not an overnight process. It's not something that you will be able to do, oh, I'm going to write in my journal or go take a walk or get into therapy, did one session, and you expect to wake up as a new person. If only healing was that easy, I don't think we would have no problems on earth. Like, healing from trauma would be so easy. Going through a breakup, a divorce, losing a child, losing family members, a parent will be easy. But it's not. And I truly believe that God doesn't give you anything that you can't overcome. And you can. And it's times like this that you experience a version of yourself that you probably never saw before or never thought that you even could become. And that could be a good and a bad thing, depending on how you navigate through this season. I truly believe when going through heartbreak, you have to use your resources. You have to lean into those people you love and trust, because this is not an easy season. It's not an easy thing. I could remember being in such a dark place in my time of experiencing with it. And at the time, God did remove other people from my life as well. So I didn't have my friends to lean into, or, I'm a very conservative person when it comes to my business. So I didn't really tell people how I actually felt in that time. So it did make it difficult for me to heal from it, but it also strengthened my relationship with God. I think God did those things for a reason, right? He pulls away people who we think who we can rely on in these times and forces us to truly rely on him. And in that time, I lost my friends, also my relationship. I lost myself. I gained weight. I became very depressed. I still felt like I was doing what I needed to do as a mom, but I felt like I was giving bare minimum. Even though my children were happy, didn't know anything, I still felt like I lost me. And in that time, I felt that God wanted me to rely on him and not lean into my own understanding. And as long as I truly, if you know me, you know I'm solution focused. Like, I'm in my journal. I booked the therapy session in the same day everything happened. I had her on the phone in 3 hours. I just thought, yep, let's get to healing. Let's start. Like, that was me thinking that I knew how to solve this problem. I know how to make myself feel better. I know what to do. And people think as a social worker, as a therapist, and all of these things, we just know what to do when difficult things come into our path, and that's not true. Yes, we know how to help others. We know how the resources and things that's out there to help, but when you're going through things yourself, and I think anybody can relate to that, we all can always give advice, but when it's you, when the shoes are on your foot, it's a completely different story. So back to what I was saying when I was trying to just hurry up and get through this feeling, and God was like, no, you're going to feel this. You're going to experience this feeling, because that's the only way I can get you back to me. And that's what happened. In that time, when I put all my toolkit down, everything I had to try to make myself feel better and truly rely on building my relationship with God and really trying to figure it out on what it is and why did you take all these things from me? Why? Like, I think everybody question is like, why me? Why? I'm such a good person as low we think we are. I'm such a good person. I was so good to this friend, this man, this woman, this job, this just everything that we experienced. I was a good mother. I was good. Why would you put me through this? And now here I am, years later, able to say, now I see why you put me through this. You wanted me to do this. You wanted me to create a path for people who experience what I was experiencing. Because when I was in that time, y'all, I looked for podcasts, books, YouTube videos, everything but God. And after all of that failed, I went to God. And it's sad but true. And I mean, ever since I went, I have been loved. And I believe that that is why God put me here. That is why Heal Yet season 2 and season 1, because all of that stemmed from that difficult time in my life. That is why this season 2, though, is so near and dear to me, because I had to truly experience everything from the loss, the grief, the loss of friendships, just everything to truly be where I am today as a woman, as a mother, as a social worker, as a child of God, as a daughter, just as the woman I am today. How I show up is all because of the things that I've been through and overcame. And number one, God, because without him, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today. I want to go ahead and dive into the things that I wrote about regarding heartbreak and the anatomy of heartbreak. So I do have notes. So after doing my research, I found that men recover less often than women. I think a lot of people find that hard to believe, but I don't. I truly believe that, because I think, well, let's start with what the scholarly journal said that I read. It said that in the beginning, it hits women the hardest, but women usually fully recover. Men don't. They simply just move on. And y'all, this is research. This is some research that they went ahead, they picked a couple men, they picked a couple women who experienced similar situations, and they watched them over time. And at the end, they came up with the conclusion that most of the men that went through similar situations as the women did not recover. They truly just moved on, got into new marriages, or moved on and thought that they were healing when really they were masking. They were just moving on, as we say. And I want y'all to let me know, like, I can't wait to have some men on my show to talk about this and to talk about why does this happen? When did they decide to heal? When did they decide, or when did they find out that I'm not over this? I know people get those situations and get those times in their life, where they sit back and they're like, I'm not over this. When you're triggered and you can sit back and say, nope, I'm still healing from that. That's when you know you haven't really peeled back the banana off of that issue. And I want to go ahead and drop some advice on some statements on what could be holding you back from healing. What is it that's keeping you in between those stages of grief? Because heartbreak is grief. It's a form of grief, right? It's a form of grief. And what could be keeping you at that stage of anger, or at the stage of denial, or what is keeping you there? And I would say the first thing is the self-blame, the negative thoughts, lack of forgiving your own self. What is the reason why you probably can't even step out into the journey of healing? It's simply because you haven't forgiven yourself. You haven't stopped thinking of how bad of a person you are, how you made that person feel, how that person made you feel, and how much hate or anger you have towards that person, or even God. Because sometimes during my career, I have seen so many people hate their faith in God, or hate God because of what they experience. And you have to be ready to forgive yourself or the other person. And that is the hardest thing. That kind of forgiveness is hard, but it's so worth it. Another thing is doing it on your own. God did not put us here to do things by ourselves. When you pray and you ask for help, God delivers by delivering people. Stop looking to feel good instantly. Stop looking to have money or tools and things you need, you have to understand that people are your tools. People can bring you to a different place. People can be your door to the next level of your life. So utilize those people that love you, that want to help you, that genuinely cares about you and your well-being, because God put them there for a reason. Those people who make you feel good when you're around them, that can kind of take you away from your situation for a minute, those are the people that God placed in your life. Only the people that make you feel good. Only the people you trust, and you know that on a bad day, you won't have to worry about these people talking about you or throwing things in your face. Those are the people that God put in your life. And if you don't have that, get a therapist, get a counselor, get into support groups. There are so many tools out there now, especially now that the internet is so big. It's so many places and things and different kinds of groups that you can get into that can help you in this difficult time. I would say also self-medicating, like unhealthy coping skills like drugs and alcohol, could definitely be a reason why it's hard for you to really get into your healing journey and fully recover. When you are using drugs and alcohol, it simply takes you out of the situation temporarily. But not only that, it makes the symptoms of heartbreak and grief worse. Yes, it temporarily band-aids things, but afterwards it makes it worse. And also it makes you feel worse about yourself, because then you are upset about what it is that you're doing. It causes other problems like financial problems, and it can cause you to have further mental issues because of the use of drugs and alcohol. Isolation, hatred, guilt, the negative emotions are also all things that can make it hard for you to stick to the journey of recovery and healing, because those things are simply unhealthy ways to cope. And I believe that the minute you forgive yourself, find your tribe, what I mean by that is your people that can help you on this journey, your support groups, your podcast, your friends and family, your children, your church, your faith. All of those things is what I mean when I talk about your tribe, because those people are the people who can help you through this difficult time. Now, here are some things that I find to be helpful for people who are going through heartbreak or difficult time and are dealing with grief. I would say it would be to first create and discover some healthy coping skills, but first identify those negative ones. Write down the things that you are doing that's just not healthy, that's not getting you to where you need to be, that's keeping you where you are or where you were when this all first happened. So write down your negative coping skills, and then I want you to create and discover some new coping skills and things that you like to do that kind of helps you to center yourself. And if you have a hard time finding coping skills, I'm going to always refer to therapy, because once you get into therapy, you can discover so many great things that you like about yourself, so many great things that you like to do, so many things from your childhood that brought you joy that maybe you should start doing again. I truly believe in pulling out that inner child. It makes you feel so good, and it's also like hugging your old self, that child version of yourself. So therapy can help you with that. Journaling is a big one for me. Like, I brain dump in my journal, I write in my journal whether I'm happy or sad, and it's like a timestamp for me. I get to go back in that time and see what I was like in that time, and get to look at myself like, look how far I've came. I'm so proud of myself. And that in itself can give you a boost and make you really feel much better about your journey and how far you have come. Because sometimes we don't really see the growth. We don't see the change right away. But having a journal handy or being in therapy will help you realize how far you've come. Because, I know as a therapist, I definitely let my clients know, like, how far you've come. Lean into your support system. We talked about that earlier. Find some new hobbies. Just do those things that you always wanted to do. Adjust to your new life. You have to adjust. This is life. No, it won't be like this forever. But it's time to adjust and discover and enter a season of self-discovery. Meaning now it's time to adjust to what's happening. Find out what you like. Find out who you really are, because sometimes during heartbreak, a lot of people always say, I don't know who I am anymore. I feel like I'm losing myself. I hear that a lot. Even I say that in my time. So that's when the self-discovery journey starts. It's time to reinvent you or step into this new chapter of you. As that could be changing the way you do your house, moving, shadow work, which can come from therapy, to start to find out what it is that you like, and not the ex-husband or the kids or the person that you lost in your life. It's time to adjust to what new season God is taking you into. And understand that everything you go through teaches you something. And that was for me, was hard in that time to believe. Oh, girl, everything you going through is going to be, you going to laugh soon, you going to smile again, and you going to look back at this. It's like that. People who going through heartbreak don't want to hear that at that time. We don't want to hear that. Yeah, I know. I will feel that way. But in that time, no one wants to hear that. It can be helpful, but you don't want to hear that. And I also want to say, for someone that may be a friend or a family member of someone that is experiencing heartbreak, ways that you can be supportive for them is to simply know that you are doing enough. You showing up for them, sending them a nice text every other day, or not even, just reminding them that you're here for them. A nice quote, for real. Things that could let them know you're thinking about them is enough. Because I know that trying to be supportive, you may think you're not doing enough, or you may become burnt out because you're exhausting yourself. But you have to understand, when somebody is dealing with heartbreak, it's truly nothing you can do to cure it. It's nothing you can do to remove the pain that person is feeling from their life. This is something they have to go through on their own. Yes, you can be supportive and be there for them and remind them that you love them. But truly, my mom even told me this. You could spoon feed this person, bring them food every day, sit on side them and laugh and do whatever, but it won't make up for the feeling that they have in them. So just know, being there for them, sending them a text, maybe DoorDash and lunch or whatever, showing up for them is enough. And you have to allow them to grieve. And the person that is experiencing a heartbreak, you have to allow yourself to grieve. Allow those feelings to come in, those overwhelming feelings, the tears, the heartache, the pain, the triggers. You can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. You have to feel it. You have to navigate through it and use the things that we talked about to cope with what you're experiencing. But I'm hoping that in this season that you can find some things, some episodes or some people that you can get with to help you through this time. Some things that you can write down to look back at. Some books that you can read. Just something that will help you through this dark time. Because just know, you're not alone. I know it may feel like it, but trust me, There's someone just like you going through the same thing, experiencing the same feelings, asking God the same questions. And there's also someone who's been through this difficult time that you have, and they're on the other side of it. So just know you will get there too. As long as you dedicate the time, the patience, the faith that you need to get through this time, you will get there. Allow the feelings to come, because that is all a part of healing. Now, I do want to give some affirmations for this episode. And if you can, say it with me. I will get through this difficult time. I forgive myself because I'm still learning. These feelings are only temporary, and they are completely normal. Thank you so much for being here on Heal Yet Podcast once again, and I hope that this episode and the ones ahead can touch you in places that you're needed. I pray for you. I love you. I'm here for you. And y'all have a great day.